Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode. Another episode of Backyard Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports Media. My name is Raul Herrera, and we got the panel. We got Andy Flint, we got Gary Freeze. Gentlemen, boys, how are we doing tonight? Mode, let's start with you.
Good, man. Fantastic, living up this fucking late heat swell in fucking November near New York. I don't know what's going on.
I hear it's been weird up there, man. You got like a preview of winter, and now it's fucking summer again.
I mean, it's been cold a few days. I mean, it's not summer, but Jesus, it's like in the fucking 50s. Weird.
That is weird indeed.
Dad?
Senior, always a pleasure. Gary, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Trying to weather the storm of the local media and social media down here in Washington. That the sky is falling apparently after losing to two teams with 5 combined losses on the season. One that's won fucking 6 in a row, and one's won 5 in a row, and it's weird down here, man. That, like, I kept telling you guys, like, I don't know how to deal with success. I'm mild compared to a lot of the Washington fans down here that, like, we don't know how to handle success because it's been so bad for 30 fucking years. Suddenly the team's good. We lose a couple of tight games to good teams. We are not ready to win a Super Bowl this year, guys. Like, let's fucking pump the brakes a little bit. The fact that we competed and had a chance to win against both Pittsburgh and Philly with a quarterback who's clearly not 100%. He should be back closer to 100% after this 10-day stretch. Plus, we have a bye week coming up. Like, let's fucking pump the brakes on, like, the sky is falling after losing to Pittsburgh and Philly. It's wild. I'm doing much better, though.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing better about it. I think, it's a fan base that is justifiably skittish. The sky is not falling. It is okay. I think Washington still got plenty of gas left in the tank. So
my last point on it is, like, everybody's off the Adam Peters train suddenly because, like, Marshawn Lattimore hasn't played. We traded for a guy we knew was injured, knowing that we had a bye week in week 14 and the schedule was going to be lighter. Fucking relax. He's going to play, and he's going to play when the games fucking matter. Jesus.
I mean, damn it, boys.
Anyway, enough about fucking local Washington sports.
Hey, listen, it's relevant.
The fact that we have to start there.
We do have to start there. I rode with Washington. I felt confident in it. I was wrong, and this is going to be a series of losses that I'll take throughout this route here. But overall thoughts on the strength of Philly going, as we get closer to the, as strongly now in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I'll finish up on this. Like, Thursday night, the Buckets show, we talked about it right before the game started. And I said, like, I think we're going to split with Philly. I still feel that way. I think we're going to win at home against Philly. I didn't think we were ready to really deal with kind of what Philly can do. I thought we played a great first half defensively and a terrible first half offensively. And then we played a bad second half defensively and continued the bad second half offensively. What Philly and Pittsburgh have both been able to do the last 2 weeks is they've been able to hem in Jaden Daniels, and we didn't run the ball very well. We couldn't get any sort of movement up front on offense, and it showed. And defensively, the levee just broke. Like, a little over 3 quarters, we played so well, stifling Philly. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. And then suddenly Saquon Barkley gets loose, and it's over. And he's a guy who can just hit home runs. And that's what we ran into. We ran into the fact that Barkley was a buzzsaw when the defense was wearing down. This game, more so than the Pittsburgh game, shows Washington is ahead of schedule, but not ready to compete with the top 6 teams in the NFL, right? The Detroit's, the Kansas City, the Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Philly, all those teams, we're like that next tier, right? We're in the Arizona, maybe the Rams, and in that sort of tier, just below the top teams in the NFL. We're just not ready to compete with teams that have complete rosters. Last point, too, Dan Patrick had Ross Tucker on, and Ross Tucker posed this question, and it really opened my eyes to it. If you go down the lineup, Philly to Washington, you can't name a single guy. Maybe Terry McLaurin would start over a Devontae Smith, but you can't name a single guy that would start from Washington on that Philly roster. Barkley starting over Robinson. Jalen Hurts is probably starting because he's a vet. A.J. Brown on down the list, and then even on defense. So it just is. It again, I'll say, like, let's pump the brakes thinking that Washington was going to win a Super Bowl this year. Let's continue to compete. Let's win 10 games. Let's get into the playoffs and play some meaningful minutes for a roster that is so fucking young and get a quarterback some meaningful minutes in the playoff. All right, I'm off my soapbox.
No, that's what happened, I think, too. Like, to speak to Philly is they start off, I think, 2-2, or they were 3-2, and Smith missed time, A.J. Brown missed time. Washington started pretty hot, and so it was like the sky was falling. People kind of forgot about Philly, and now all of a sudden we're back on track here. Where the games count, and Philly looks like a good team, like we probably expected Philly to look.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of surprised it took so long, honestly. I think everybody was kind of surprised by how the season started, but
I think the thing that, like, to just emphasize what Mode said is, like, I think people just forgot because Washington was fucking 7-2, and Philly. And I said it to you 2 weeks ago when Dallas, not 2 full weeks ago, actually 2 shows ago, that I needed Dallas to beat Philly because my team's 7-2 and they're a half game up in the division, right? So, like, it was easy to kind of forget because of the supernova that is Jaden Daniels. And all of this, like, everybody's talking about him for MVP and yada, yada, yada. That was never real. And like, all of that. And Philly just kept chugging along, beating bad teams, but also beating Cincy in that mix. And suddenly they're fucking 8-2 or 9-2 now. And it's just the way the season went. Everybody just kind of forgot.
Right. And they have realistically, they had the same record. I think there was just a bye week in there for Philly.
Yeah.
And, Washington was shiny and new. Jaden Daniels was taking the league by storm. So, I mean, it's one of those things. I think Philly just kind of wrongfully, like, I don't know. I feel like if you would ask some people, they would just, Philly sucks, by like week 7. And, they're a winning team. So,
right.
Weird.
Right. Similar
to Kate, how they were kind of quietly winning in the background.
Yeah, just toiling away, taking care of business. I'm no less encouraged by what I see from Washington after these 2 weeks, though. Like, we competed against Pittsburgh, we competed against Philly. We probably should have beaten Pittsburgh, and honestly, the way Philly played the first half, we should have been up 3 scores at halftime and maybe even won that game. But this is who Washington is. They're young. They're not a deep roster. They don't have studs across the board. And we got bullied up front on the offensive line. And I've said all along, the offensive line has been punching above their weight all season. It's not a great offensive line. It's just not. They've been covering up a lot with Cliff and the creativity. Philly was able to just rush 3, rush 4, get some pressure, and play a bunch of coverages on the back end. Terry McLaurin never saw single coverage, not once throughout the entire game. Everybody wants to talk about Quinyon Mitchell and the job he did. He had a safety all day, and he did a fine job. But he had a safety all day because nobody else threatens in the pass game. It's just a thin roster. And it's next year. It's maybe 2026, right? 2026 might be the year that we look up and say, oh, fuck, we look like Detroit from 2024.
Andy?
Maybe. I just, I think Washington was so far ahead of schedule to start the season, and it was happening, in an exciting fashion. And so I just think people, like, the expectations. I know not Gary per se, but I think every time you turn on the goddamn television,
it's all it was.
It's
the radical fan base, man. It's all everything's radicalized, right? Same thing with the Cowboys fans, right? It's the same shit. But now you guys have more of them. You're actually good.
Jaden Daniels leading them to the Super Bowl. Like, neither of those things were reality. Everyone just got swept.
But it's fun to talk about on a Tuesday.
It sure is.
You're right. It's 100% fun as shit to talk about on a Tuesday. And I think just honestly, the Washington fan base in general it's been a while since you guys have had bandwagon fans. And so you have them again. And so now those are the woes you have to deal with, is the people who really think it's their year. We get to see it in Dallas every fucking year. And somehow, I mean, we're sucking dick from the back right now, and there's people. There's one guy at least guaranteed in South Arlington. I can probably go to his house, and he's gonna say it's our year. We still got a chance.
Cooper
There's
Rush,
at least
baby.
one.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Loop. All right, onward and upwards. Unanimous here. Miami winning at home against the Raiders, and couple good deep balls seen in that fucking play. Interesting, or in that game. Remnants of old.
Miami's good enough to win. It's just they took too long to do it.
Yep.
And now I don't think that it matters. Tyreek Hill, I said it in the group chat, got his first touchdown since week 1. Great for any people who might have him in every fantasy league. So that's cute. But yeah, I mean, this is what was supposed to happen. If you're looking back at the beginning of the season, before the season starts, like Miami's supposed to take care of business against the Raiders, and so man, that
Miami might sneak in. 9 wins might get you in the playoffs in the AFC. There's a chance. Miami's got some tough games ahead, but the offense looked like it was supposed to look. As Andy said, like, this is what we expected to see from Miami. They were able to move the ball down the field. Achane's a home run hitter. Mostert is starting to get back to being healthy. And the big thing is Tyreek Hill. I mean, they had struggled so bad to get him open. They'd struggled so bad to get him the ball. Yes, Tua was hurt, but, like, that's a guy that you should be able to get him the ball, right? No matter who's your quarterback, you should be able to get him the ball. And they had really struggled. And Miami could really play spoiler here down the stretch if they drop one and they kind of lose sight of that potential playoff spot as maybe the last wild card in the AFC. They could really play some spoiler here. Buffalo doesn't play them again, which is good for Buffalo, right? Now that Miami's getting right, because Buffalo's chasing that 1 seed. That's a good thing for them. San Francisco's got to play them, and San Francisco's in a tight battle in the NFC West. Miami could play spoiler. They could sneak in the playoffs, and I don't know how many teams want to play a team that's got HN, Mostert, Tua, and Tyreek, not to mention maybe Waddle. I don't know how many teams want to play that team in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely a stacked deck of cards, but I don't know. Tough sledding to get to the postseason. We'll see how they can get there.
It is. Might be too late.
Might be too late. And it was too late for the Cleveland Browns as they go to New Orleans and lose. Fucking Taysom Hill out there running fun plays. Wow.
What a day he had. He's one of 6 40-point fantasy weeks this year. Or 5 40-point fantasy weeks this year. Taysom fucking Hill. There's your bar trivia for the year. Juwan Jennings, Taysom Hill.
Didn't have that one on my fucking bingo
and
card
then,
this week.
I forget the other one, but 5 fuckers, and Taysom Hill is one of them.
Yeah, I needed a tight end on Sunday because like Kittle got scratched and Taysom Hill was the guy I was looking at. I went with Jonnu Smith,
who got a touchdown.
He got a touchdown. I was happy to see he got a touchdown.
He didn't score 40 points. Though.
Yeah, not
Hill
a 40
scored.
burger, though.
I immediately saw
burger.
fucking Taysom Hill scored early in the game. I'm like, motherfucker.
Son of a bitch.
It was at that moment he knew he fucked up.
I still won, but Jesus.
Yeah, well, there you go. But
I did not win
in
our new dynasty league. In my dynasty league, Brett had Taysom Hill, and he beat me as the second high score. Fun fact about that fucking fantasy league: I'm the number 2 scorer in the league. I'm 5-6. The second highest point total, though, however, is the points scored against. Actually, I take that back. It's not even the second. It's the first highest point total. Is points against me in that fucking league.
So people have their biggest games against you.
That's
the
fun.
number 1 scorer in the league has not scored as many points as teams have against me.
I had that last year in my dynasty
It's
league.
fucking brutal.
It's a lot of fun.
Happens, dude.
No, Taysom Hill kills me because every time I've ever picked him up on like a 1 week usage, he sucks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You got to play the long haul with him, and even it's not worth it.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. 100% agreed. All right. Minnesota, cruises by Tennessee. How are we feeling about Minnesota coming into the postseason? NFC North looking tight.
I think they're a team that as a wild card could play spoiler for, if they end up the top wild card, they could knock off one of the lower seeds, right? But I just don't know
It's
that
more of a
they've got.
wild card battle at this point because there's.
I don't know that
mean,
they've got the horses though to like upset Detroit or upset. I don't know, like say San Francisco ends up winning their division or Philly. Maybe Minnesota could match up with Philly. Jetta is always a wild card, but they're just like this is who they are. Beating the Titans by a couple of scores, but it wasn't great early. Like that's who they are.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they have a pretty easy schedule.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they'll keep piling wins, honestly, and they'll probably get into the play. The team that's got to be worried really is Green Bay because,
right.
Maybe, I know a lot of people have said all season. That's all I've heard is like, 3 teams from the North will probably make the playoffs. That's just
which 3?
Right. Who knows? Well, I mean, it ain't going to be Chicago at this point because
yeah.
They're bad, but
that's true.
I'm glad they fucking came crashing back down to. They're like the worst fucking fans in the world to listen
Praise
to.
God.
They're just
yeah.
They're so it's just unreal.
Yeah, they're kind of the CrossFitters of the NFL. I really don't. I don't want to fucking hear about how much you like Caleb Williams, dude. He's not the truth. He ain't it. He never been him. Never even heard of him.
They're silly fucking fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing that we talked about, with the inconsistency issues. Obviously, Miami's a prime example of that. They had some injury-ridden stuff. Arizona, we talked about. There's a few of those teams that can just get tripped up and be inconsistent. And so
I don't think Sam Darnold's good enough to consistently beat good teams.
Yeah, he's fine.
That's what he would have to do. I mean, listen, at the beginning of the season, he was starting to look that way, and we watched this movie before, right? I mean, he just did this, a couple years ago. So, it is what it is. I don't, he's better than, the way he was discarded at the beginning of his career. However, I don't know. I'd have to see it. I think the world would have to see it happen once to be able to believe it could happen again. So
it is interesting that Detroit and Minnesota play in Week 18. I don't know if Minnesota is going to be able to win enough games to keep that game relevant, but could be a very interesting Week 18 game.
Yeah, I mean, at least that one's in Detroit. But Detroit got the heavy lifting out of the way early with that win in Minnesota, so it was good for them.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds almost like he was going to sweat if it was in Minnesota. Green Bay.
It could have come down to that, given the records. You never know.
Yeah,
it could have, and then rivalry games, home field advantage does weight.
Yeah.
Green Bay, Soldier Field continues to own it.
Is this not the most Chicago fucking thing possible? Like Chicago Bears thing possible.
Of course,
you settle.
Why not?
Not to start with. They fucked up the play before the Hail Mary for Jaden Daniels, and now they go and settle for a 46-yard field goal attempt, and it gets fucking blocked. Like you could have moved the ball another fucking 6, 8, 10 yards, even just a couple of yards, whatever, and felt like you were really moving in a direction. The Packers special teams unit even said, like, we were surprised to go on the field like that because we figured they'd run another play. It is just the most Matt Eberflus, Chicago Bears fuckwit thing that you can fucking do. And I spent like 3.5 quarters praising them because I thought they finally figured out their offense a little bit with screens, quick hits, get the ball out of Caleb's hands, get it into Adunze and Moore in Allen's hands quickly. DeAndre Swift was running the ball decently. And then they go and do this at the end of the game. And it's like,
it's about finishing the job, man. It's about finishing the job, terrible. And like you said, you said it the best way possible. It's the most fuckwit Chicago Bears way that could have ended.
Right. Matt Eberflus is a fucking donkey.
Yes.
That dude, he doesn't, I don't know. He just doesn't belong in that role. He is not a fucking good coach. I don't know. Now he's filing a complaint with the league because he believes
Chicago just needs to keep it moving at the fucking
just fucking put your complaint away. I mean, it's not going to fucking change anything at this point.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. We'll take your letter of resignation in exchange. I'll speak for you, Chicago. That's tough.
He wants to fucking speak to the manager.
Yeah, dude. You got the fucking Karen at the headset. We need to get rid of that shit. Detroit with a much predicted victory here.
Jesus.
Didn't feel like it was going to be, maybe.
I didn't even want to watch that shit anymore. Like it was that game, the Titans game. Shit was. I don't know, man. They listen. I like it. I'm not going to complain, obviously, as a Lions fan, because about time we're putting the fucking boots to people. But like that's what you got to do, right? If you're a good team, if you want to be considered a great team, you can't play down. Really good. Like you have to go in and you have to kick the fucking shit out of a bad team. And I've talked to me personally. I bitch about Jacksonville all the time. Doug Peterson's fucked, doesn't know what he's doing. Obviously, they have Mac Jones in, but I was saying in the chat, it's like a perfect thing. Like Doug Peterson's going to be, nobody's going to be talking about him being fired after this game because they're not supposed to win. They got Mac Jones, just like a million fucking things to let him off the hook. But holy fuck, talk about getting kicked in the fucking teeth. Like it's tough to watch. Even as a fucking Lions fan, it's tough to watch. I'm like, man, like just fucking throwing the towel.
Jacksonville's first drive, I thought to myself, like, okay, this will set the tone. And then I was like, okay, all right.
Well, a fucking 59-yarder for a dude who's fucking long is like 12 yards. Nobody's ever fucking heard of your kicker. He's out. I'm like, of course, dude. Every fucking time somebody boots some long fucking field goal against Detroit. And I was still pissed about it when it was like fucking 35 to fucking 6. I was still pissed about that field goal.
Yeah.
Listen, the most important thing to take away from this game is it set records for both teams. So Detroit's largest margin of victory is now 46, and Jacksonville's largest margin of defeat is now 46, breaking the record of 44 for both teams because Detroit beat Jacksonville by 44 back in, I think it was like 1998. It's the craziest fucking full circle football thing ever. Detroit sets its own record against the team it set the record against previously.
Well, and I mean, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Montgomery all have scored a touchdown apiece 8 times. That's a record.
Yep.
So that's kind of neat stuff. Yeah, they're putting together some weird shit. I mean, Jared Goff's putting together some crazy – I mean, even after the 5, you could tell he was like, fuck this shit. 5 interceptions. He wanted to embarrass
again.
And I was glad, I've got Kyler Murray in a fantasy league, and I needed a backup quarterback to play, and I went with Goff, so it was a good week for that. So, yeah, I wasn't upset there. 400 and some odd yards, 4 touchdowns. We'll take it. I think he only had 3 or 4 incompletions, too. That's really been the good thing with Goff this year. It's been the big difference is him playing smarter football. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Obviously that Texans game, but
efficient ball, though. I mean, just efficient ball in general. Good stuff just from the team in general. Dan Campbell's fucking doing Lord's work out there. Rams get a victory on the road in Gillette. Rams got a tough matchup coming up this weekend. And so, I think they needed this victory to kind of keep that momentum going into it, I think.
So it's a good fucking thing they played New England then.
Yeah, somehow still a one-possession ball game. So I just,
listen, I'll tell you, New England might have theirs. Drake May looks like he can play, and I know I gave them a lot of shit for putting him in so early in the season, but he looks like he can play, and they've got a piece that they can build around. We talk about it a lot. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance, and it looks like New England might have their guy. And now you got to go build around him, though. You got to go build around him because Mac Jones made the playoffs his rookie year, and they never built around him. They need to build around Drake May if they're going to sustain what's going on right now.
Yeah, and hopefully Drake May, doesn't suck like Mac Jones. So
yeah,
that'd be good.
Right.
He will. On to the next. Gary on the Victory Island here, voting for the dark horse Pittsburgh to take down Baltimore in Heinz Field at home. I mean, Gary, please, victory lap away, my dude.
It's home game in division. Pittsburgh always plays Baltimore tough. They know how to play Lamar Jackson, and it showed. And I'm gonna quote Nick Wright on this, and I'm gonna let everybody down easily off of the Lamar Jackson as MVP conversation. If after every loss that you have, the number one complaint is that you didn't hand the ball off enough, you're not the fucking MVP of the league. They didn't hand the ball off enough against Pittsburgh, and everybody talked about it. Lamar looks like dog shit. When you're able to contain him and keep him in the pocket and make him beat you with his arm when you don't have to chase him with defensive backs, and that's what Pittsburgh was able to do. He's not the fucking MVP of the league. They're not going to win a Super Bowl with this fucking roster as constructed. 6 field goals beat you. You're not winning a Super Bowl, period.
The good news is they looked like they could sort of fucking play defense
Against Russell Wilson.
Because Pittsburgh can't play offense. Well, yeah, it's what I was trying to finish.
Right.
That piece, yeah. Sorry. 18. I mean, they've been giving up points like fucking gangbusters this year, and now
you can shut the fuck up, Gary.
Yeah, shut the fuck. But unfortunately, they could only score 16. So Gary goes in around. Oops.
Oh, Finn.
No Steelers.
Yeah.
Oops.
Fucking D'Elia.
Yeah.
Anyways, so hey, listen, Danger Russ out here being Mr. Unlimited, getting it done, dude. At home. Good for him, dude.
He needs to fucking start coming out in like a Zorro mask. That seems like exactly like what he would do. Just a fucking Zorro mask, like fucking man of mystery. This guy. Wow.
I need him mic'd up the entire game. Like not even for the viewers, just for the stadium. They have to listen to him talk the entire game.
That's actually clever. Fuck
I
up
thought
the
so.
fucking visiting fans. Like if you're at home.
Yeah. Just pipe Russ fucking through the speakers all night.
Just Russ motivational speeches in the locker rooms.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
just have him read fucking great presidential speeches from the past over and over again. Just fucking that would be everything.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking there's some solid like locker room torture tactics we can go with there. I dig that. I definitely dig that. Pittsburgh's really kind of missing out here. Tune in, bud. Tomlin, where you at? Seattle.
Oh, I marked this one wrong. That's on me. I marked this as a win for us. It wasn't. That's on me.
Correct.
That's going to change the record too.
So Seattle, Geno.
Yeah. Running with his legs to beat him late.
Legs. When's the last time you saw those working?
When was the last time you seen him run with his legs?
Well, it's been a while since I've seen Geno, like, get a tutty with it, and it's been a while.
San Fran's just
what's going on here? What's going on with San Fran?
I don't even know.
Is it a staff, or I'm sorry, is it a roster issue or is it a coaching issue?
Yes.
I mean, obviously McCaffrey missed the long stint of games, but I think who eluding me now? Who was playing?
Mason.
Mason.
He was the leading rusher.
He was or is second in the league or third in the league in rushing yards in that time frame. Ayuk obviously, starting out the season with the late bullshit from the holdout, then he gets hurt. Debo missed a couple games. Kittle's missed a couple games. But, like, this shit happens every year with San Fran. Like, their star players miss some games. I just don't know. They still figure out ways to win. And a lot of times they still figure out ways to kick the shit out of teams. That's just not happening this year.
Yeah, I agree. They're longer in the tooth this year. I think that a lot of the gimmicks and gadgetry aren't working the way they used to. Debo isn't the guy that they're going to give the ball to 25 times a game anymore because he gets nicked up too easily. They miss Ayuk, but I think the biggest thing is that they're not dominant on defense the way they used to be. They're pretty susceptible. And I know Nick Bosa got nicked up in this game, but that defense used to be a fucking terror no matter what. And it's just not right now. And they can't make up. Yeah, there's just something. And maybe they're a bit shell-shocked from all of the attempts to get to and win a Super Bowl. There's something to be said about losing the Super Bowl and being hungover. They've been able to kind of kick that the last couple times they've gone to the Super Bowl, but it just feels like they're kind of in mud almost on a weekly basis.
Well,
Yeah, Kansas
fortunately
really
for
seemed to
them,
get out of
though,
their own way.
right? But that division is just
Meh.
still sitting there to grab.
Yep.
They're
Yeah,
currently in.
Yeah,
they're
they're gonna
currently in last place, but like by nothing.
right.
Yeah.
They're gonna struggle their way into still winning the division.
Yeah, they're
I
game
mean,
and a half out of first, and they're in last place. Like,
Right.
I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, because even with the win here, Seattle was what 3-0 to start the season. They're 5-5.
Yep.
The Rams have struggled mightily. They're 5-5, and then you've got Arizona, who's probably the best mediocre team in the league, 6-4. So, yeah, weird stuff. San Fran probably still wins this division.
Yeah.
I don't even know what their schedule looks like, but
Doesn't matter. All right. So Denver putting Andy on the victory island here. Bo Nix looking good. Kirk Cousins not able to work the magic to secure the dub. But Andy, your victory lap here on this one?
Part of it's like not believing in Atlanta. And I think I was pretty vocal about that,
Yeah.
like at the beginning of the season, that I didn't really believe in Atlanta. Now, 38-6 is a little out of fucking control. I don't know how that happened.
Right.
But I have seen some good stints of really good defense from Denver. So riding that into a game at home against a team I don't really trust in Atlanta, again, I was looking for like a 20-14, 20-7, something.
boy, were you surprised?
17-13 type, we score enough to be able to hold you to a low score, and that's fine. I don't know where they found 38 points, but it doesn't make sense to me. But I'll take the victory.
Well, Bo Nix fans everywhere are trying to piece together the jerseys that they burned and everything as he looks fucking great, throwing 4 tutties. I mean, yeah, Bo had himself a day, but
145 rating. I mean, he only missed like 5 passes. Like, did some Jared Goff stuff. The same week Jared Goff did the same Jared Goff stuff. Weird.
Yeah, Atlanta's a bit of an enigma. They're kind of banged up on defense, but like Kirk Cousins looked like shit this weekend. The offense looked like shit. They couldn't get the running game going. Denver's a good defense, but any week that Michael Penix is getting subbed in, there's something really off there in Atlanta. And that's what happened this weekend. Never got it going. Never had a response. Bo Nix has sneakily had a very, very good rookie season suddenly. Like, it didn't look great early, but he's up to like 14 total touchdowns. He's only got 6 picks and a couple of fumbles, so single-digit turnovers. Like, not a shabby look. And suddenly, like, Caleb Williams is maybe the 4th best rookie season this year of the quarterbacks. Like, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and maybe Bo Nix is having a better rookie year than Caleb Williams. Bo Nix is looking like he's
starting to look that way.
He's fitting into that Sean Payton offense. And we watched Payton do it with a very similar quarterback in Drew Brees down in New Orleans. They're similar stature, similar style, not a big arm, very accurate quarterbacks. Bo Nix is a bit more athletic than Drew Brees was. But, man, it looks like Sean Payton might have figured it out after kicking Russ the fuck out of town.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Robert, left it on the bus, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
I surely would have thought they made sure it boarded the plane.
Yeah, it didn't get off the ground.
No.
That shit fucking not at all. I don't even think it made it to the bus. that shit in the fucking locker room. Man.
It's still in the locker room.
Man,
damn
the
it.
Monstars have it currently.
The Monstars got the secret stuff, god damn it. Buffalo. Listen, this was kind of a dogfight. It was fun. But again, Buffalo is the deeper team. They're the more capable, they're the more fully put together team in comparison to KC. We talked about the position that KC has been in as far as being this team that's going to
Poor Russ.
Poor Russ. So, I mean, we've talked about KC being this team that's like somehow managed to be this great team, this unbeaten team still, and here they are. And now we're in this position where Buffalo's gotten the dub and secures another. I mean, I think this just kind of solidifies to a lot more people that Buffalo is the clear-cut strongest team in the NFL, I think.
I think Buffalo just beats them in the regular season. That's why I picked them.
Do it in January.
Right.
So I don't know. I wasn't terribly surprised. And the game's at home. I mean, I don't know. I might have picked the Chiefs if they were the home team. It was a good game.
They're in Arrowhead.
It's a good game. It was a fun game.
It was definitely fun.
I think what this game illustrates about these two teams are things that we've talked about with Kansas City all season. They were still in this game late. Mahomes was still scoring points when he needed to. But on the other side of the ball, Josh Allen is a rising tide. And I've said that all season long, and I'm going to continue to say it until they prove me wrong. Josh Allen is a 10-win quarterback by himself. He might be a 13-win quarterback by himself. They're missing Cooper's dinged up, not at 100%. They're missing Keon Coleman. They get offensive linemen knocked out during this game. The defense is depleted, and McDermott continues to patch that thing together. They're getting a great season out of a Taylor Rapp that nobody expected it. The defensive front is fine. But when the game's on the fucking line, 4th and 2, you just draw it up in the sand and go win the game, Josh. And what the fuck did he do? He ran the ball for 32 yards and scored a fucking touchdown, ran over a bunch of defensive backs, carried one into the end zone, got a haymaker thrown, guy trying to knock the ball. It actually hit him in the helmet and would have knocked fucking Jake Paul out this weekend. But it's just that's what happens with Buffalo, and this is what we've come to realize why the quarterback position is what it is, right? We get guys like this. He's carrying this fucking team. They're getting contributions from guys they didn't expect it. But when the game is on the fucking line, Superman put on his cape and he carried the defense into the end zone.
Andy, do you care to cradle the balls anymore? Or?
Oh, no, I think they're quite cradled at this point.
Feathered, really.
I got it under control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the schedule. I talked about it earlier. They had a schedule that was had a point in it where it was really tough. And then, obviously it didn't play out to be that way because the teams that we thought were going to be really good weren't really good. That's not the Chiefs, obviously. But, I mean, next couple, they've got San Fran and the Rams. And I don't know that we chalked them up to be tough teams anymore. Part of the reason I picked Buffalo to have 10 wins this year was because they had a brutal stretch, I thought, in there. But it's not looking so bad anymore. I mean, they do got to go to Detroit in 3 weeks.
That'll be an interesting game.
But then they'll end with, I think, the Jets once and the Pats twice. So yeah.
I think – so, Gary, you talked about that kind of rising tide with Josh, and what I want to see with him is that not retreat in the postseason.
100%.
That's what I want to see. I got to
see it in January now.
The
Bills are in the Bills are in rarefied air, right? And when teams find their quarterback, and this is where they get to eventually, right? It was the same with the Pats. It's been the same with the Chiefs. It's been the same with the Niners. It was the same with the Packers when they had Rodgers. What are you going to do in January? Because when you've got your guy, yeah, absolutely, big matchup for sure. But when you've got your guy, and this is your guy, and you've got a guy that's a 10-win quarterback by himself, you got guys like Brady was and Mahomes and Rodgers was with the Packers and whatnot. It no longer matters that you beat the Chiefs at home in the regular season, other than it's a win against a rival. And it does matter in terms of the standings and being able to potentially chase down the 1 seed. If Buffalo and Kansas City have the same record at the end of the year, now Buffalo is going to be hosting them in the postseason. That's the biggest thing that you take away from this. Outside of that, it don't fucking matter anymore. And it's good air to be in, but it's also frustrating air to be in because January, it's so fucking hard to win in January that You can get
And
to
it's
the
still
end of
pretty
the
far
season,
away.
but it still is. But like, it doesn't matter until I see you do it in January, and that's the era that Buffalo's in right now. They're not alone.
The metaphor.
It's not unique.
The
to
metaphor
Buffalo.
that comes to mind is Fast and Furious, as Paul Walker is getting ready to race Vin Diesel for the first time, and he hits his NOS button just a little too early. And
Right.
Pat Mahomes is fucking Vin Diesel, dog.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna time it just right, and
Yeah.
then he's gonna smoke your ass, and he's gonna say, "You never had me. You never had your car."
Right.
And that's what's gonna happen because he lives his
That's
life
what
a
the
quarter mile
playoffs
at a
are.
time. Fucking saw that all the way through, bro. Bars. Fuck yeah.
Well done.
I mean, yeah, if you're the Bills, that's really all that matters at this point. Like,
Yeah.
if you see the Chiefs in the playoffs, like, you have to win.
You have to.
Yeah, you have
They
to.
haven't clinched their division yet, but they're going to. And now it's about January.
Who, the Bills? Oh, yeah, the Bills could lose out and they're going to clinch the division.
Right.
That division's dog shit. It's the fucking worst division in the NFL.
Yeah. It's bad outside of Buffalo.
Dog shit. Jets are dog shit. They fucking fooled people into thinking they could be okay. You know, Miami, obviously, some things happened there, and New England's just New England. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen it in January.
And this just in, Aaron Rodgers is not enough. Well, not quite there yet. Another Andy Island victory here is the Chargers take down the Bengals at home. This was another one that I felt like was kind of a dogfight there for a little bit. Yeah, exactly. The AFC is still going to be, I mean, I think it could very well be a two-horse race in the AFC with those two exact teams, but we'll see. Exactly, dude. I was saying now, dude, now they got to rip apart the heads and some other shit and replace the piston rings you fried. Me and the mad scientist, something like that.
Maybe
I don't know. I haven't seen it in 20 years. The Jetta, fucking Jesse.
Jay-Z.
Gang. Yeah, that Skyline was sick as fuck. That Eclipse was sick as fuck. Even those old, I mean, all of those cars are sick as fuck.
Yeah.
Anyways,
the Supra.
Good throwback.
The Supra was so sick.
So Chargers Island victory here against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Chargers sick.
Cincy, I don't know. Cincy's a fucking weird team. Cincy could play the best game they've ever played and lose. And the Chargers, I mean, Gary said it earlier, we were talking about it a little earlier, like they, you know, the ship has been corrected a little bit. Their defense has played pretty well this year. At home, I don't know, man. I don't believe in Cincy anymore.
Yeah, I'm starting to not believe in Cincy, and it's so weird because Joe Burrow is having a season that like won Aaron Rodgers 2 MVPs. He's the only quarterback in history to have 3 games with 300 plus yards and 4 touchdowns and lose all 3. It's unfucking believable what he's been doing, and they just can't seem to figure out. It's one. If it's not one thing, it's another, right? Like in one game, it's the defense can't get a stop against, Lamar Jackson. In the next Baltimore game, it's that Chase Brown fumbled in the most awkward scenario in the most inopportune time, and it completely changed the momentum of the game. And then the defense couldn't stop fucking a nosebleed. And then in this one, it's like, okay, we had a bad first half. We're all the way back. Evan McPherson, one of the most reliable kickers in the league, misses 2 with a chance to win the fucking game. It's like nobody wanted to win that game in the final 2 minutes. And the Chargers eventually were just like, well, I guess we'll go win this thing. Like it was just a mess. And then for it to end the way it did with like the Chargers score a touchdown when they should have taken a knee and not left any time on the clock, like just a weird game. And yeah, since he just can't get it right, they're having an historic season on offense, both Chase and Burrow are, but it's pretty dire everywhere else.
Well, and on the other side of the ball, though, too, you have Hendrickson, like he's on a tear too on bad defense. Yeah,
and they suck on defense.
Yeah, he's like I think he's leading the league in sacks.
Leading the league in sacks and pressures.
Yeah, it's wild, and it's just crazy. Joe Burrow for sure put a fucking whole pound of sugar in fucking McPherson's gas tank too. He was fucking pissed, dude. Like you could just fucking see it. He's like, this fucking guy,
this motherfucker.
Oh my god.
Jesus. Crazy.
It's
Crazy,
fucking
man. If it ain't one
wild.
thing, it's a fucking another.
There was that view, like
100%.
he's just fucking glaring at McPherson. And then they asked him about it after the game. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck this guy's wife.
In front of him.
Yeah.
I let him.
I mean, who knows? Who fucking knows? Let's please move on. The Jets lose at home. Indy takes the win. Maybe, Anthony Richardson wasn't tired anymore. I don't know.
You know who's tired? The fucking Jets. I'm just done with the Jets.
Yeah.
They're just
The Jets are done with the Jets. Joe Douglas got fired today. So
yeah,
Oof.
they're fucking dumb.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, is this a good win for Indy, though? Is this a good win for Indy, though?
No. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything, I don't think. Yeah.
Does it fucking matter if you're Indy?
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah, the Cincinnati
Corey.
is pretty bad. It's real bad, for sure.
Yeah, they've got to do something with that.
Well, yeah, and they get in these fucking firefights, too.
Yep.
And they can't do shit about it.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, they lack the depth.
Continues to get smoked after fucking calling someone out on social media every fucking week. Like, shut up, dude. Fuck.
Some people just, they bank on that fucking notoriety sometimes.
Watching too much fucking CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Too much goddamn Jake Paul.
Oh, God.
Houston, much predicted victory in Arlington. Speaking of Jake Paul.
They closed the curtains for the fight.
Yeah, I'm glad that they did that. That really would have interfected with the buffering that we saw for most of that event, or at least during sunset hours. I'm in the same time zone.
Fuck.
What's that?
Fuck Netflix.
Oh, for sure. Like, wow, you were not prepared for that.
They have NFL games on Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's so sick. Well, remember Prime? This happened with Prime a couple years ago, too, when they first started offering the Thursday game. It was all fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of baffling to me.
That is the NFL.
It's just kind of baffling to me that they would try to, or that they wouldn't be prepared for a streaming event like that.
No,
it just seems odd. I mean, it is kind of out of their wheelhouse, right? But,
Still.
I don't know. You can't be fucking Netflix and not be prepared.
I know.
We never want to talk about the Cowboys.
I know, dude. I'm sorry, but we have to because they're my team, and I have to just take accountability here. And it's right there.
This doesn't feel like a great win for the Houston, though. Like, you didn't look great for the entire second half. You finally score an offensive touchdown.
It's kind of the same thing as what we were just talking about with the Jets loss, though. It's like it doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah.
Like beating the Cowboys doesn't mean anything right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious if there's going to be any steam to this. I know there's a lot of speculation about Deion to the Cowboys, the connection.
Yeah, Corey, what are your thoughts on this?
I just don't listen. I don't think Jerry wants to lose the limelight, man. I don't think Jerry's willing to give anybody else any shine off his fucking star, and that's what Deion brings.
He released a fucking statement that he got fact checked on this morning, saying basically celebrating the fact that they were the 6th most winning team since their last Super Bowl victory. Which
fucking aren't.
A, you're not celebrating the 6th best team at anything. And then B, they fact-checked them quick as shit, and it was more like 11th or 12th, they said. So, what are you even doing, dude?
There was a stretch from 1999 to 2015 where they were exactly 500. You ain't the fucking 6th winningest team at fucking 500, bro.
No, dude, instead we're fucking almost top 10. Woo!
I mean, everybody knows he's the problem. He's been the problem. He'll continue to be the problem.
As long as he draws breath.
well.
Dude, he broke up what could have been like an unreal dynasty because he couldn't handle Jimmy Johnson getting credit.
Come on.
That team that Jimmy Johnson built was so good. They won a Super Bowl with Barry motherfucking Switzer. I challenge anybody to find a place where Barry Switzer's been successful since or before. He had a very small window at Oklahoma where they won a few games, and Jerry was like, "That's my fucking guy," and
Barry
won a
Switzer,
Super Bowl with Jimmy's roster.
Super Bowl champion.
Right.
Put respect
That's
on
how
his
good
name.
that fucking roster was that Jimmy built.
Put the fucking respect on it. You better put some respect on it.
So predictable loss nonetheless, but you know, not really super. I don't think it's super telling for Houston. I mean, it's nice to see them kind of get out of their funk, and this was a good kind of bounce back game for them to kind of get into a better momentum. I think they look shaky the last few weeks. It's been rough.
They do, but they, record wise, they're just kind of to the point where like they just got to figure it out in the next few weeks.
Right.
Because they're probably going to be there as far as the playoffs are concerned. So, if you can get back some of the defense that we saw, against the Lions, for instance, early, right? That defense was really good, but you're sitting at fucking 7-4. If they can figure out a way to protect Stroud, they were so good at doing that last year, and now they've sucked this year. But they can ride it out, man, and win. 10 games, they're going to win that division easily.
Yeah. They went from top 5 to bottom 5 in terms of pass protection.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Crazy. Unreal. Yeah, I mean, I don't see them drafting Shedeur. I just don't see it. And pay Dak. Like, they just gave him that deal. That's the thing about the Dion and Shedeur package. I just don't think that they're willing to spend. They'd be stupid to draft a quarterback and spend that money, but it probably would be the most Dallas thing to do. Ben Johnson being ideal, I get that, but I don't know that Ben Johnson wants that. He's not. Control.
I don't think he's going to take that job.
He wants control. He's already said that. He's already said he's going to be very picky. He wants to go to a contender.
Right.
He wants to go to a place where he can put his stamp on stuff. I honestly think Ben Johnson, I think he just likes where he's at, dude. He likes broing it up with Dan Campbell.
He's not going to where Jerry is. I can't see it.
I don't think he will. I agree. I don't think he will. I just don't. No, and that's the part that gives me pause.
Yeah, all right, senior. All right. All right. I don't need that shit from you too. All right.
That's the part that gives me pause about Houston, man. Like this is a Cowboys team that it just seemed like they were kind of going through the motions all night, and it was a one-score game way too late in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, Cooper looked scared. So he just looked scared. He wasn't ready. He dumped the ball immediately. He was not afraid to bail on a play.
They need to put Trey Lance in.
I don't know what the fuck we're doing. I really don't.
Just see what you got. See what you got in Trey.
Jerry, but that's the smart, that's the logical thing. That's not going to happen.
I honestly think the most Cowboys thing that's going to happen is fucking Mike Zimmer is going to end up becoming the head coach after Mike McCarthy gets fired.
That would be a Jerry thing, but that'd be so bad.
Fucking, you're gonna speak that shit into existence, bud.
I don't give a fuck, bro. My Longhorns are in the process of continuing to fucking take over their first year in the SEC, so I have plenty of distractions. So I'm not worried about it because I'm too busy inundated with Alabama fans that owe me fucking apologies about how we weren't going to do shit. And then A&M's get the same heat at the end of the season, too. They're going to catch the same exact work. But nonetheless, in the next 5 years, A&M and Texas will continue to be the top 2 teams in the SEC because Texas now owns the SEC. So it's a good year to be a Texan regardless. So I'm cool with it. I've accepted my fate. I'm probably not going to be watching much NFL anymore. I'm just kidding. All right. I think that was the last one, right? Just ripping the Band-Aid off. Yeah. Thank God. All right. I'm glad that part's over. Okay, now we get to not pick our team or not pick the Cowboys to win this week. But first, how about we get to the most important part of our show? We are a veteran-owned podcast, and every week we dedicate an episode to a fallen service member in our Folds of Honor sponsored segment we call our Salute to Service. This episode is going to be dedicated to Army Chief Warrant Officer 2 Alexander Coulter, who passed away November 17, 2003 during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was 35 years old from Tennessee, and he was signed to Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 124th Signal Battalion, 4th ID Mechanical out of Fort Hood, Texas. He was killed when his vehicle traveling in a convoy to Tikrit ran over an IED in Bakuba, Iraq. Army Chief Warrant Officer 2 Alexander Coulter, we have the watch. Well, salute, boys. Thank you guys for tuning in as we move into Week 12. The current season record before we go into this preview, Andy has now taken the lead at 110 correct guesses and 56 not correct. I'm following second now at 108.58, and Gary is doing his best.
We trying out here. We trying.
Yeah, quite a bit of bye weeks this week. There, quite a bit of teams on bye, so not a whole hell of a lot of football. Similar to last week, one less game. Starting off with Pittsburgh on the road to neighboring Cleveland. Unanimous here for Pittsburgh. I mean, riding the Russ train, Steelers country, let's ride.
I hesitated on this.
I don't find the Browns are another one of those like on my not trusted fucking list.
Yep. I hesitated because Jameis is a fucking wild card, man.
It's true.
He's a wild card, but I couldn't bring myself to pick the fucking Browns over the Steelers. Steelers are on a heater right now, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, doing what they did a little bit last year, and then with the subtle improvements, and regardless of how we feel about Russ, I think Russ is an improvement over Pickett. So there's that.
It's good to see him see if we can continue to see some Russ momentum. I want to see him continue to succeed only because of the cringe value that we get out of that. That and he poisons any. I just think he's just going to be fucking toxic to whatever locker room he stays in. So I'm just from a T aspect, I'm curious to see how it pans out.
He's fucking. I could just see him sitting in there with like the Pit Vipers on, no shirt, not talking to anyone after the game. Just got a mirror. Fucking
selfie stick on.
It would be a selfie stick. That's a good call.
I got you, big dog. I got you. Tennessee on the road in Houston. I think we're all talked about Houston in the process of recovery. They managed to get a good win here against Dallas. They're going to move on home. And where their neighboring park, Minute Maid, is changing their name, stirring up some shit to Dakin Park. That started some shit. Have you seen the amount of headache that Houston fans are dealing with because of that? Random thought. But anyways, I saw a bunch of memes about that shit. People are up in arms about changing that name. They're like, I'll never go back there again. What the fuck are you talking about?
They'll be right back. Sponsor? I promise you, because I watched it down here in Washington. I'm never watching another fucking game until they bring the name back. You've got season tickets still, and you're still at games, and you're still on social media bitching about the team or praising the team. Nothing's going to change. It'll last for a week. They'll be mad, and they'll get the fuck over it.
I say the same thing to the motherfuckers.
Crowd. Right, exactly. I'm burning my jerseys and fucking.
I said the same thing to the fucking protest kneeling people, the people that stopped watching because of the kneeling.
Yeah. They burnt their jerseys and went right out and bought another one. The NFL won twice.
The
Yeah, they
people,
just
the
got a Kelsey
Kaepernick
one
folk are the same ones that are like the Taylor Swift folks now. It's
Yep.
the same fucking people.
Yep. Same
It's the
motherfucker.
same people. They got like the Oakleys with the white frames.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jean
Fucking-
shorts.
Houston's just better than Tennessee. Tennessee's defense might give them some fits, but Tennessee can't score. So maybe Houston struggles a little, but they should win this fairly comfortably.
Awful.
Yeah. I'm thinking, 27-14, 27-10. Yeah.
2 scores.
Yeah. So next up we have Minnesota on the road and Chicago. Another division game here. Chicago struggling. Minnesota really kind of needing the win to continue to, get a chance to get a wild card spot here. So all of us riding here with Minnesota.
Yeah, Chicago can't get out of their own way, right? I mean, that's what it boils down to. I think even if they are able to put up like a tough, like this is a divisional game, we're the home team type thing. I just feel like the last 5 minutes they'll fuck it up no matter what.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Caleb Williams is almost like I don't even know. It's like I keep thinking like a T.O. or a Kyrie as far as like ego and toxicity, but not as much talent.
It's something. It's you know what it is too. A lot of it is it's like way fucking too soon in your career because you were doing it before you even got there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cap's been
He's
gone
never
too
played
long.
again.
He also couldn't play when he was in the league. Like his last couple years, he was like the worst rated quarterback in the NFL. He never wanted to come back to the NFL anyway.
He was just a good athlete,
weird.
Yeah,
it was about
he was
relevance.
fast.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Something, it was
Football's just not his game.
something
The
different.
NFL moved on, and there's no team that'll take him seriously. I don't think. Even
just
even
continue to be an advocate, guy. You're good.
You know what? We don't even hear about him anymore. So
no,
Right.
No.
Yeah, it's only whenever he starts shit with the NFL that he gets relevance.
Every offseason, he wants to film a fucking workout.
Kaepernick and LeVar Ball.
Yeah.
In the rear view mirror, man.
Yeah. I'm glad the world has moved on.
The Uncle Reeks, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Another divisional game, another unanimous victory here. Washington will win at home against Dallas, and this is a no-brainer for me. So
they fucking better.
Yeah, you can't lose this one. You can't lose this one. This is one of those that it's like, if you're even semi-serious about competing this year and making the playoffs, like you can't lose this game. Dallas is so far down and out. The offense is devoid. They fucking what's his face Martin got hurt this past weekend. I don't know if he's going to continue to play, whether he's going to miss time. CD's banged up. Dak's out. They don't have a second option at wide receiver. They don't have a good defense. They can't stop a fucking nosebleed in the ground game. Brian Robinson should probably get 18 to 22 carries for 110 yards and a touch or two. If you're serious about winning, if you're serious about competing, you cannot lose this game. There is 0% leeway, even being a division rival, even being Dallas versus Washington, you cannot fucking lose this game. 10 days off, too. 10 days off, and Dallas played Monday night. Like, all things point to Washington should win this, and they better fucking win it comfortably. Cannot lose this game.
Right. This thing was kind of, tailored towards Washington.
I didn't feel like we were going to win this game until you started saying that. Now I feel like Dallas is going to win this game.
They probably will. Like, it's the most Washington fucking thing, but you cannot lose this game. You cannot.
We've talked about like quintessential throughout this episode. We've talked about quintessential team movements, and that would be a Washington.
If we're really going to put Dan
somehow
Snyder
lose to a shitty Dallas team,
if we're going to put Dan Snyder in the past,
no,
you cannot lose this game.
No, you're going to lose to Dallas, and then Dan Snyder's going to fucking rub one off on his television screen. That's what's going to happen. Dan Snyder is going to come. He's going to come so hard, dude. Buckets.
Yeah. Ron will probably stroke his dick for him.
Oh, dude. Christ. Let's move on. Miami, unanimous. They're struggling. They're gonna beat the dog shit out of a struggling Patriots team I'm curious to see. We see a little head bobbing, a little. I don't know, Andy.
No, I agree with you. I think so.
Okay, I was gonna say you seem to kind of waffle for a second.
I just don't. You know what? The beat the dog shit out of is kind of. I'm still trying to come back to terms with whether or not they can beat the dog shit out of people at this point. But
yeah,
I think good last week.
Compete too. I think that defense can get got. I think this could be like a high 20s to low 20s game, one score. Miami wins though.
They need it though.
This is home. Yeah, this is home score though.
Sure.
This is a home game too.
23 or something, right? Like give me something like that. One score, Miami wins.
One score.
This could be the beginning
I'm
of
saying
an
too.
Interesting run for Miami. If they can win out the season, they could cause some chaos.
I'm thinking 20. I'm thinking like fucking 28-17. Like I'm thinking this is a solid win.
Okay, I think I could be down with 28-17.
Okay.
So maybe beat the dog shit out of is an exaggeration. I'll admit that.
Yeah, you started giving me that. I'm thinking
I gotta sell it. I gotta sell it. They're
35,
gonna fucking
13,
win. You gotta get some pizzazz in the show. If we're just gonna sit here and give honest fucking mediocre opinions, we're never gonna have a good show. This is why we have 3 people watching right now, and one of them is your dad. This is why. For the love of the craft, boys. For the love of the craft. But yeah, so look, Miami's gonna win. All right, that's the point, I think. So speaking of wins, Kansas City unanimous here. North Carolina.
Speaking of beating the dog shit out of somebody,
this is gonna be a bad one. I think Kansas City is gonna take out some punishment on Carolina. It's gonna be a real fucking bad day in Carolina.
Bounce back game, first loss of the season. Kansas City, give me fucking 38-10.
Just when fucking Carolina was starting to be like,
starting to feel good about themselves.
There's like 4 teams in the league with 2 wins, and we have 3.
They get a pissed off Chiefs team coming off their first loss of the year.
Yeah.
Congrats,
dude. Somehow
look good. Not anymore.
This gonna be like a 308 yards, 3 touchdowns from a Mahomes game. I have a feeling.
Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, all 3 of them will have 2 apiece. And fucking
Sorry, Carolina.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough weekend in Carolina for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so Tampa Bay on the road, New York Giants. Man, we're all unanimous here at Tampa Bay. Look, breaking news here is that the kid's back at it. DeVito back behind center for the Giants. I mean, this has got to be. I mean, I just feel like I'm watching the Ocho, dude. This is bold strategy. God.
The fucking Giants are bullshit.
They are bullshit.
I
wonder if he's back to charging pizza joints for fucking appearances.
They ain't shit for this because
he fired that agent, bro. He fired that agent.
How the fuck do you tell somebody that they're the backup quarterback all fucking year and then skip right the fuck over them?
Yep.
So that you can sell a couple fucking tickets.
Yep.
That's like,
yep.
It's just, that's bad fucking business.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the Giants, bro.
Who the fuck wants to go play for that franchise now? Is it, like, I don't understand it, and I can't. Listen, I can wrap my head around the fact that you want to take Daniel Jones and make him fucking third string. Fine. Like, if that's what you want to do. But, like, to just shit on fucking Drew Lock like that is insane to me. You're saying, oh, DeVito wasn't good enough to be the backup, but he's good enough to jump the backup to be the starter.
Of all people.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems like a really weird move. I'm kind of curious as to what exactly is going on in that fucking locker room, to be honest with you. Gary, thoughts?
It's a fucking mess. Like Andy said, like they're bullshit, dude. They're bullshit. It's a mess. You go right past Locke to DeVito because you want Tommy Cutlets, the local hero, later mode.
See a mode.
It's a mess, dude. It's a mess. I couldn't be happier though. Like as a division foe,
Yeah,
like cool.
You can't. Yeah.
Keep the Giants right in the fucking basement. We swept them this
Yeah.
year for the first time in a long time. Like, yeah, keep them right in the fucking basement.
Yeah, the day ball magic has all but worn off, you know?
They deserve it. For what they did to Saquon Barkley, they deserve it.
You know, I feel like they're it's poetic justice. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, good to see you, buddy. 100%. Corey was just in this bitch, and also a Cowboys fan. This is one that I think all of us can really rejoice on. Really, Gary, you, me, Aaron, you know, your brother, and Corey. Plenty of fans of the boys and Redskins alike that we can all rejoice.
Keep them right fucking down there in the basement. We'll see what they do at quarterback. I imagine they'll be drafting one. I don't know if it's going to be Shador or if Deion's going to chase them off of drafting him because it's cold. We'll fucking see.
Oh, fair enough. So another unanimous pick here. Detroit on the road to Indy. Look, Indy had a nice little showing, no doubt. Anthony Richards not tired anymore, which is great. Love that for him. I'm sure Indy loves that. Lucas Oil's probably going to love that as well. But however, this is a much better team. This is a team who is probably the number one team in the NFC. And
maybe the number one team in the NFL.
Exactly. And we're going to see that soon. And yeah. I can't wait to see what happens with the fucking Lions this year, man. Because I'm so excited to see what they do this year. Really.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just don't see a path to victory for the Colts short of like the Lions really just making a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah.
I don't think
if this was later in the season and they're resting guys, I could see that. But right now, no way.
They're not.
They're
right now.
full steam ahead.
Vikings are still breathing down their necks.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see a path to victory for the Colts against the Lions.
Yeah.
Just don't see it.
Same. Got a house divided here. So Andy and I are riding with Denver, and Gary riding with Las Vegas Raiders at home against Denver. So, you know, full disclosure, my pick is coming from, you know, assuming that Bo Nix is going to keep this steam moving on. You know, not too far from his neighborhood court here. So, what are your thoughts on the Raiders pick here? It's
just a road game. Denver played really well at home last week. They have played well at home. That home field advantage at Mile High is it's a big deal. The Raiders are going to continue to compete. I think that they're rallied around Antonio Pierce. Gardner Minshew is going to continue to compete. Home team really, and Denver going on the road. I think this could be a weird, like sloppy, ugly game, like 16-13, something along those lines. Maybe even like a 16-15 weird score. It's kind of a letdown moment, potentially division rival. Denver coming off a big win against Atlanta where they really beat the brakes off them. That it's just more gut than anything. Is what it is. You're muted, bud.
Said fair enough. Seattle, another house divided here, another island for Gary. Seattle at home against Arizona. So this has been another one that's been kind of, you know, Arizona's been one of those hit or miss. They're, you know, the best mediocre team in the NFL is Andy's called them on the show.
Yeah.
I'm curious, you know, how much of this was influenced by Gino's performance last week. And you're just kind of betting on Arizona not to be able to perform at home. Yeah, coin toss.
Home team.
Coin flip home team. And I think this is a game to do that with.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely 100%. Have some remorse
if
there.
This was in Arizona, I'm picking Arizona, but because it's in Seattle, I'm going to pick Seattle in this game. I think these two teams are very close. I think these two teams are like right in that kind of same tier of, like, as Andy put it, like, are they good or are they mediocre? They're both kind of right there. Give me the home team when those types of teams meet up. Give me the home team.
100%. 100%. I definitely have some remorse picking them. Another house divided here, Andy, just after kind of shitting on the San Francisco 49ers, pick San Fran to beat Green Bay in Lambeau. I felt like Lambeau.
You're not kidding, Aaron. You're not kidding.
Dude, no shit.
You are not kidding. Speaking of, you're talking about San Francisco against Green Bay?
Yeah, so speaking of which, I mean, we're talking about Green Bay and Lambeau. I don't necessarily think that Green Bay is in some bad trajectory. And I do feel like San Francisco is on a downward trajectory, and I just don't see Green Bay in a position to really lose that game.
San Francisco is just still so talented, so it's hard to just poo-poo on that. Vegas kind of agrees. Packers are 2.5-point favorite. Usually the home field will get you 3 points in the NFL. So the Vegas seems to think it's a pick'em game, and I tend to agree. For me, this was Green Bay at home. Maybe San Francisco uses this as the springboard to right their season, but it feels like San Francisco is in a little bit of a pickle, a little bit of turmoil right now. So I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to take Green Bay. I think this is a very nip-tuck, very even game. This is another one that, like, if this was in San Francisco, I would take the Niners.
Yeah. Yeah, and same. 100% same. All right, moving on to LA Rams. And Gary, on another island here, riding with the Rams against Philly. So this one's interesting because I did kind of waffle on this, but I mean, again, I just feel like Philly has so much more together right now that they can certainly handle going on the road and taking care of this, taking care of LA,
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. What I like is the matchup of McVay against Philly and what he's able to kind of scheme up on offense. This is, I just got this is another one.
What is that defense going to do to stop Saquon Barkley?
They've been good, not great. They've got Jared Verse and Fiske, who they've been great up front as rookies, but it is a defense that can be gashed at times. Another one that's just gut. It's just gut. I have a feeling that the Rams.
This is your dark horse for the week.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I mean, if there's one you're going to ride with, I don't blame that one.
Yeah.
So, fair enough. And last game of the week, Chargers at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Andy on the Baltimore Island. I'm guessing, can't speak for Andy, but I can only assume this is coming from like a continued kind of lack of trust in the Chargers offense and, what they've turned out to be. But I don't know. Now, Baltimore could absolutely bounce back and have themselves a fucking game against this defense.
This is a good bounce back spot for Baltimore.
Yeah.
I just quietly, the Chargers defense going into last week had been the best scoring defense in the league. They'd only given up like 13.5 points a game. And even after that game that they gave up 27 to Burrow, it's like they're still only giving up about 15 a game, 16, I think, close to 16 a game. It's a good defense with a lot of athletes. And Derwin James has always kind of been one of those like X factor guys that you can use him to do a lot of things. And spying on Lamar Jackson is probably one of them. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Chargers turn over Lamar Jackson a couple of times in this game. And give me the Chargers, who have a different mentality. This isn't your slightly older brother's Chargers under Brandon Staley, who stunk in tight games, who stunk in crucial moments, who were mismanaged when it came to like time management and situational coaching and situational football. Jim Harbaugh is not that guy. This is a nice matchup between the Harbaugh boys. But I like what the Chargers can do, and I think that Justin Herbert can gash that secondary of the Ravens. So give me the Chargers over the Ravens.
Yeah.
Give me something like a 23-20 or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Can definitely see that happening. I mean, this is going to be a great matchup either way. That Ravens secondary, now you think about it, I mean, Justin Herbert could have a field day with those guys.
And the Chargers have the guys, right? Like they've got dudes up front, and they've got, like I mentioned, Derwin James, right? If you're going to use him as a guy who can spy on Lamar Jackson, you could keep Lamar in the pocket pretty well. You're going to have to cover. They've got one of the better cover guys in the league, and Asante Samuel Jr. They've got, a good pass rush.
That's a ton of pressure you've got to keep on him.
Getting Henry to the ground is going to be a challenge, but I think the Chargers are up to it.
The Chargers could definitely be up to it. Are they going to have the gas tank to stop both him and Derrick Henry at the same time? Is really going to be the question.
Yep,
100%.
So,
well, man, I think that wraps it all up.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else we needed to cover there? Are we going to closing thoughts?
No, we're good.
Closing thoughts, then it is. So, past the halfway point in the season, we've got, quite a bit of shifting, but it's really happening in the middle of the pack, I think. And so, we're still kind of making our way around turn 3, getting ready for that final turn 4, right, of the season. And so this is going to be every game, every minute, every second, every play is critical here. So definitely curious to see what happens over the next couple weeks, Gary.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think we're going to see a ton in terms of like divisional jostling. There's a couple of divisions like the NFC West that's very tight, but that'll be kind of the big one to watch. I don't know that Washington's going to be able to get back into it with Philly. We'll see if the Rams are able to knock them off this weekend. It could make that an interesting race down the stretch. But I think the wild card races are going to be fucking wild to watch down the stretch. I think
exactly
adding an additional wild card has just kept so many more teams in it. That I think we're going to see a lot of like those teams that are right around 500 or even a game or two below 500 right now are still going to be able to say like we've got a chance to make the playoffs, and those races for the last couple wild card spots are going to be fucking fun to watch.
Well, surely surely the players have to enjoy having this extra game. I know it's extra, it's extra time and effort out of their season or out of their year, but I mean, extra football and extra playoff slot. I mean, how many seasons have we talked about, man, that extra one slot would have opened up this many players or this potential teams to jump into it. And so that difference of one game really making a big difference here. And so right now the focus is getting as many wins as possible so you even have a chance to be in that dogfight.
Yeah.
So the biggest fight of the season is yet to come, folks, and we appreciate you guys tuning in as always. So be sure to check in with us next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name's Raul Herrera. I got Gary Freeze with me. We had Andy Flint. He'll be back with us next week. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.